Hey Rolf, we're here. You're at the Korg booth this year at NAMM 2018, and you got the Quantum, right?
Yeah, we're at the Korg USA booth, which is a distributor here for Waldorf in the USA. And we are showing here an update for the Quantum. We saw a prototype at Music Messe in spring. And now this is a pre-production model. We are in beta test and sound design phase. So, for example, Howard Ska is currently designing sounds, and we will have other sound designers as well. And doing beta test to get this thing ready. So it's a matter of weeks, I would say, until we are delivering this beast.
Oh, everybody's very excited about this, aren't they? It's like because it's a major new project, right?
Yeah, that was and is, of course, a big project. And the idea was, of course, it's a new thing. We don't want to make clones here. We want to get back to the excitement a synthesizer has in the 70s, 80s, where we used modern technology to do new sounds. So we thought, okay, what kind of modern technology we can use today? So we are using system chips, we are using touchscreens, we are using modern digital and analog technology with new algorithms, and put this into a keyboard synthesizer format. And that's really exciting. So that's a big thing, and we are learning every day by ourselves. So it's really something new territory, not a clone.
So I guess people are just going to wait. Okay, what does it sound like? What does it sound like? So have you got any patches already designed in here? Is there something you can play us?
Yeah, we can play some patches from Howard Ska. He's still doing his work, but I have, let's say, 50 patches here. I don't play all, but let's see. This one, it's a combination of the resonator and some virtual analog waveforms. It's called fanfare belts. Let's see, maybe some. This is a patch browser, so we can select by, let's say, let's get a granular thing here. So we can load samples with granular playing. And there's a nice. And you can see this is a pad-like thing, and you can see here there's the sample and the red bars here moving along. It's each is one note,
which is voice, right?
Yeah, it's a separate voice. So normally you see a granular sampler as a monophonic thing. So we are polyphonic here. And it moves the positions through the samples. We can increase treble, let's say. This is a ping pong mode, but of course we have some one shot or rap mode or moving backwards. And we have typical granular thing, but you wanted to learn listen sound. So that's a granular thing. Let's go back to some stuff from Howard.
How much RAM is there for granular samples in the oscillator side?
We have 500 megabytes for samples in RAM.
Oh, right.
And we have 2 gigabytes in flash disk for storing your samples.
So it's not like little tiny things. It's, you can chuck all sorts of stuff in there.
Excuse me?
You can put all sorts of samples in there with that.
Yeah, you can load your own samples within SD card with WAV audio file format. It comes preloaded with over 1 gigabyte of Code ADA samples, which are a huge variety of noisy and instrumental sounds. And you can also record with audio inputs here. And you can do live granular things. So in live granular, the live input would be put into a kind of a delay buffer, and from there the samples are played in a granular way.
Interesting, really
and
interesting.
And you can self-record the thing, so you can record your own patch here, and then use this sample as a sampler or as a granular sample input.
Wow, okay,
so that's
great.
Lots of different options here.
More sounds then.
Yeah, some more sounds. Let's get a resonator sound here. I think Howard did some called red resonator.
So this is kind of like modeling almost with resonators, right?
Yeah, what we see here is, if you look in the screen, you see here partials. So each partial here is a bandpass filter which gets a resonating frequency. And he has 3 resonating oscillators here with different partial settings, some very dense, some very wide. And you can excite this with a click or with a noise, or use even samples as the exciter for resonator, which is kind of a new thing. So we have multi-sampling in the granular as well as in the resonator. And you can even play it in a traditional multi-sampler mode, non-granular, if you like to.
So this is entirely DSP, or is there some analog subtractive actual circuitry in there as well?
We have analog filters here. So these are the analog parts. These are dual filters, which can be coupled in. They are parallel, which you see here. It's very little.
Yeah, it's hard to see. There's a bit of reflection on that. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
And then you can couple them in some interesting ways. For example, this is what I'm calling twin peaks. So you can touch it here, or you can do something like a opposition. Here, these things are moving against each other. We're a couple of, and we can also modulate them totally independently, basically as 2 filters here. And these are 2 low-pass filters in 12 or 24 dB mode, in saturated, non-saturated mode. But some people prefer digital filter, so we have digital filters as well. We have a whole list of digital filters coming from comb filters, bit crushers. It's not a filter, but anyway. We have NAV filters, PPG from the PPG plugins, and from the Lago plugins, low pass, high pass, band pass, notch, 12, 24.
So is it kind of like, this is almost like a vehicle for all of the Waldorf technology that currently exists, and to put new stuff in as well? Is that how you're seeing it, right?
Yeah, sure. And it loads NAV sounds. So if you have NAV as an iPad app, you can load them here. It's not the NAV engine here, so it's not 100% the same sound, because you have differences, but at least you get a similar sound and as a starting point to work with. Maybe more sounds. I just play some more sounds from Howard. Let's see what this is. Here you see 3 different technologies: wavetables, waveform, resonator. So he calls this A3. It's more classic polysynth sounds. Some monophonic funky
bottom
bass.
end in there. These are new headphones, but I'm not totally familiar, but that sounded quite nice and bottom endy there.
Yeah. So we have here also some interesting things he does with just a single resonator. It's called like a what's called this in English? Pauke. It's
timpani.
Timpani.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like a timpani. He does some classic PPG sounds. See what this is. Resonator sounds. Some more. Oh, this is a speech synthesis of the wavetables.
That's nice. Very Kraftwerk.
Yes. So he currently has 50 sounds, but we will have many more, and also other sound designers. And maybe some classical sample sounds. Not classical, but samples in a non-granular way. This would be some Kurt Ader sounds here. And if you look here, here we have a multi-sample. So we can have note ranges, or we can have round-robin rules or random rules in sample selection.
You could almost use it like a traditional key group sampler as well, right?
Yeah, you can edit the sample, set start points, end points, do looping. Of course, you cannot replace a contact or Halion or whatever, but for keyboard synths, that's quite a.
Well, to be able to have something that you can maybe transfer for playing live, yeah.
And this is one oscillator, one sampler. This is another sampler. This is another sampler. So you have 3 sampler in one. So you have 3 different oscillators. Another nice feature we did is for each of the oscillators, and we have a preset system. So you can. All the oscillators are kind of a building block, a little synthesizer in itself. So you can quickly choose some
so you can load a preset oscillator.
Or copy one oscillator setting from one sound to another sound.
Oh, neat.
And things like that.
So you're going to be, when are you aiming to ship this? Have you got a kind of date?
I can't get you an exact date, but I would say in the next 6, 8, 10 weeks. Right. Whatever say is wrong, but let's say that's something we are aiming at right now. We are in beta test, and we are doing.
Have you got any closer to a final RRP on this, or final price?
For the US, I think we need to ask somebody here from the COG US booth. But in Europe, I see street prices for €3,900.
Right. Okay. So 3,900.
900 something, 50 or something. Yeah.
So it's a big old beefy synthesizer with plenty of its own thing. I mean, that's unashamedly expensive and fully featured, which is kind of nice to see.
Yes, and we took a lot of innovation and research and development in it. So it's not just a copy a schematic from the 70s and 80s and do a cheap thing. So, and look, if you buy a good saxophone, if you buy a good traditional instrument, 3,000-4,000 is not big price. So it's a price tag. We know it's not easy, but we know that many people from the feedback we got in Berlin from the Super Booth value that, and it's very feature rich. And it's something you can do again in the instruments with the touchscreen. It's not something you work on a computer. It's something you have a complete instrument and with sonic capabilities, with the resonators, including sampling, granulation, where I think we will see in the next months and years what you can do with it. It's nothing where you just get the typical 100 favorite sounds you see in synthesizers. It's something where
something new and interesting.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rolf. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure on my side.